Good morning, everyone. Today is Sunday, April 6th, and today is Guesstimate Sunday, where it's none other than Group D, led by Misty. I don't know why I have no voice all of a sudden, but anyway, here is the schedule for the upcoming week. Group D and the weeklies, obviously, they declare on Wednesday, April 9th. They will declare their distributions typically around 6:55ish, 7 a.m. Obviously well before the market opens, and then you have that whole day to buy into the fund if you want that particular distribution, but you have to hold it until this date, April 10th, which is the Thursday. That's ex-dividend date, and then you'll get paid on the Friday, April 11th. So that's the schedule. Down further below, obviously, you could see who's in what group. Again, this is all on their website. Newer fund is Chippy. That's on the weeklies on the bottom for the far left. And then Winter on the far right on the bottom. That's a new one as well. That's part of Group D. And the reason that's part of Group D, it's a short fund for MSTR. So again, people have been waiting for that. I'm not sure how popular it is yet, but I'm sure it'll probably, I'm thinking, be the most popular inverse fund overall. Maybe that, or obviously crash, because people love to hate Tesla. People love to hate Bitcoin, right? Or they love to, cover the the other side of it, cover their bets, hedge their bets. All right, so anyway, let's get to the guesstimates. And again, apologize for the voice. Not sure. I did have a voice when I thought I did. Hold on a second. All right, here we go. Here we go. So Group D on the top is APLY. So who's in Group D? So let's just see real quick. So yeah, why is APLY on the top? Well, APLY launched, believe it or not, April 17th, 2023. After that was AMZY. Shortly after that was DISO. Then SMCY. Then AIYY, which they've had a rough go at it. And then Misty was February 24. Then SMCY September of 24. And then of course the shorts kind of came out. Yeah, Winter just came out March 26th. All right, so let's get to the guesstimates. Let me see if I can get the proper zoomage here. I want to get everything on the screen. All right, so you want to get, some reason the IV is not properly updating, so it's not really helping me at the very moment. So we'll have to zoom out maybe even further. Yeah, very annoying. Okay, so let's start with APLY. So APLY's last two payments was 36 cents and then 34 cents. So this one's a little tough, to be honest, because, well, their IV was higher. It was showing. And, overall, the price change is going down. Everything freaking went down except Misty and YQQQ. So keep that in mind. So there is nothing that is pointing to any price changes that would change, that would make me give any of these different ETFs a boost. However, since the market is brutal, the market is tanking, and the market is very volatile. So since it's very volatile, the premium is much higher, right? Because the IV is much higher. And on top of that, when they sell calls, they're probably winning most, if not all, of their trades. So that's why I have to make a tough decision here and decide, is it really going to be closer to the IV? Again, I forget what the IV was for APLY, but it was much higher than this 36% guesstimate yield. So I gave them a 36-cent guesstimate, which is a 36% yield, again, which is lower than their implied volatility. Is that going to be accurate? Honestly, I do not know. So that's a tough one. It's subject to change, of course. I thought I was going to change it during the video, but again, I don't even remember what the IV was. It's freaking loading. It's very annoying. Anyway, let's just get right to AMZY. AMZY, what they do, they paid 54 cents, and then they paid 41 on the last payment. Their implied volatility is 60%. I gave them a 40% yield, but again, that's an increase. That's a distribution increase from the previous payment. So that's showing a 45-cent payment. But again, is it hard to imagine an increase when the price went down? I mean, not necessarily. Again, if they're just winning their weeklies and they're paying out what they make, you know, then it would make sense. But we don't know what they're making because we don't track that detail. We only do it for Misty now. All right, up next is Disso. Disso, last two payments, they paid 45 cents and then down to 28 cents. I'm going to give this one a little higher than the last payment. I'm going to give them 30 cents. That would be a 32% guesstimate yield. However, look at their IV, 50%. Again, I could be lowballing these. I'm not sure because, you know, the market, especially this week, has tanked like significantly, and the implied volatility has jumped on a lot of these. So it's not like they were making premium the entire 4-week cycle for this. So I'm trying to keep that in mind, but I'm also trying to keep in mind that they probably won most of their trades during that cycle. All right, up next is SQY. The last two payments for them, they paid 58 cents and then they paid 50. Wow, I gave them 60. Why is my guesstimate? See, there's like, I guess the price of SQY is not even updating, which is why my guesstimate yield's not even working. So sometimes these spreadsheets, man, they just do not behave. Google Sheets, it is a free app, but of course with free, sometimes it's not, you know, the best. It's not, you know, for the most part, it does work good, but again, Squee, are they really going to pay 60 cents? It's hard. It's really tough. Let's see what the price is at. Yeah, it's not updating at all. I don't even have, yeah. All right, whatever. We're going to leave it 60 cents. AIYY, last two payments, they had 37, and then they went down to 32. This one, yeah, man, I was in utter shock. I still don't believe it. AIYY, are they really $4.37 freaking cents? Like, is that accurate? Like, what in the actual hell happened to them? $52-week high, 13, 52-week low, 418. I mean, holy crap. Again, it's hard to even believe that, but that's, since it dropped so much, I'm like, I can't give them an increase. Anyway, 25 cents is what I gave them, which is a 74% yield. I have no idea. Again, that could be lowballing for them. Up next is Misty. Obviously, most of you are watching for Misty. Now, Misty, how far back? I hid most of the other tabs. Misty, their last three payments, 227, then 202, and then all the way down to $1.37. All right. So again, you know I track Misty to you know in detail, month over month. So now, and to go even further, you know, this dates back. We'll go back. We talked about the last three. Go back even further. There was a $3 and a $4.42 payment. So, you know, I know it sucks. We're not there anymore, but never know. We could get there one day. But let's just look at this 4-week cycle. During this 4-week cycle, we made income. Finally, income. Synthetic income total to be $228,480,900. Cha-ching. And then weekly income, $4.6 million, or $4,655,631, totaling a net income of $233,136,531. Again, this is just what I came up with based on what I saw in the intraday trade data. Keep in mind, I sure as hell can make mistakes, especially with that data. Oh my God, forget it. So take this information with a freaking grain of salt, right? Who the hell knows if it's accurate? But this is what I have. So this is what I'm going with. All right. So outstanding shares, they total 110,375,000. So if we share that income with all the suckers here, we get total income per share of $2.11. Now that is the total. Again, that's total income per share. They do not have to pay out 100% of the total income per share. They do have to pay out 90% of the income per share for the full fiscal year. So as far as what they make on a 4-week cycle and what they have to pay, there is no rhyme or reason, right? But they did make 211, and we have to keep that in mind when we are guesstimating. So let's go back to the file. And again, so I have $1.82. I mean, I don't think there's any way in hell they're paying $2. There's no way. There is absolutely no way. I mean, in fact, is $1.82? I don't know. I think $1.82 is good, But they did pay $1.37 last time, so it's not like, even if they paid $1.50, that's a win. So $1.82 could be on the high side as well. Yeah, I'm not really. Again, it's not easy. It's not easy to guess. So you have to do it. That would be 114% yield. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. Again, these are all just too tough to even. What am I gonna change it to? $1.71? Like that could be close. Again, it's gonna be $1.50 to $1.80. Like this is the range. There's no way it's 2, and there's no way it's gonna be under $1.50. At least in my eyes. But what the hell do I know? Anyway, let's move on. So anyway, yeah, Misty estimate $1.82, 114% yield. SMCY, their last 2 payments, $2.09, and then they dropped to $1.97. So this time around, their IV is 124%. I'm not going to give them 124%. I will give them over 100%. So I gave them 109% yield, which is $1.54. Again, that's a drop from the last payment, but the price has dropped. Everything has dropped. So again, but the others I did raise, but this one they've been paying up a lot. So keep in mind their price, I believe, dropped more than the others, right? So yeah, they went down 24% as opposed to APLY, who went down 12, or AMZY, who went down 11. So it's not as drastic as for some of the others. All right, and then last but not least, we got the YQQQ, at least part of Group D. Their last 2 payments, 24 cents and 44 cents. With now, this one's tough as well because they went up 80 cents in share price, right? So YQQQ, they're at $18.33. I mean, that's actually surprising. So they went up 80 cents per share. How much are they going to pay? Are they going to pay 62 cents? I guess, right? 62 cents. That's greater than the last payment. I mean, why not, right? Why not? I say it seems like these inverses, they don't give an F, right? They're like, I have to make good money, pay it. Who cares, right? Because they're not like big sellers. I don't think they're making enough noise. So I think a 62-cent payment would make noise, 43% yield, because that's an increase from the last payment. And don't be surprised if it's even higher. And then you got WNTR. Is the price even updated? Probably not. Let me scroll over here. Oh, it is. Okay. So launch price $50. Current price 53. Yeah, okay. All right, so I should have more information for that in the next go around, but they just launched, so they're not going to pay, so it doesn't make sense to talk about it. All right, let's scroll down to the weeklies, which, these are even tougher to do, but I'm just going to keep it simple. So YMAX, again, their payment will be based on what Group C paid last week. So if you take around kind of what they're yielding, how many funds they own, what percentage, blah, 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 blah. YMAX comes up to a 14-cent payment, and YMAG comes up to 4 cents. Because YMAG has the Microsoft payment in there. So if we go back here, YMAX's last payment was 17 cents. I'm going to give them a 14-cent payment, and that's a 61% yield. YMAG's last payment was 9 cents. Now, again, I don't know. I think they're rounding it off. I really don't know. Right? They must be rounding it off, because if they paid 9 cents, let's go back here. Yeah, they have 17, 15, 14, 8. And then they go 8, 9. So maybe they are rounding it off. So, yeah, I'll have to double it up. I'm going to give it a 175% boost. $0.08. Okay, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, look at the last, this is the last time they had Ford, 17 cents. They paid 17, 15, 14, and then 8, right? 8 would be, well, would that be for Misty? No. I think 8, yeah, that's when they started. Well, let's look at this one. This is probably a better judge. There it is. That's better. Because in the middle, the third one was always the shortfall. 18, 18, 5, 13. So that makes sense. And here's another one. 31, 15, 5, 10. Okay. And then this one, I think this is when they decided to make the change. And that one got all screwy. So, and then looking at this one, it started with 8 and then 9. So I'm going to say 8 again. Again, I'm not going to assume it's based on MSFO, but what the hell do I know? So I'm going to give them an 8-cent distribution, because, again, it seems like they're rounding it out instead of giving a 1-week shortfall for YMAG. That's my guess. We'll have to. Someone should ask Jay if they're interviewing him anytime soon. All right, let's go continue on LFGY. Again, to keep it simple, what do? I just pull the holdings. All right. And I do like to go through the holdings to see what the heck they're holding. It's pretty much the same crap every time. And you're going to see the IV is going to be juiced up on all these. Applied Digital, man, 145% yield. Look at this. Cipher Mining, 167% yield. Core Scientific, 163% yield. Wow. So anyway, their average IV is 108%. The guesstimate based on that is 70 cents. That seems like a little high. So if we go back here, I used an 80% multiplier because their last payment was 41 cents. I have 56, again, that's high, But look at the IV. They're probably getting a really sweet premium, and they're probably winning their trades. So again, I'm gonna leave it because this is when it gets tough. It's hard to tell. Although the price is dropping, right? For the most part, they're winning the weeklies. They're making the premium, and I would think they'd like to pay out a lot of that premium. All right, up next is GPTY. So let's go here. Again, these are a little more stable funds. So Apple, although stable, their IV is at 54%. That's just pretty freaking good. Amazon's at 60%. You don't see this normally, man. This is crazy. Intel, 84%. Meta, wow, stable, 33%. Again, Microsoft not updating for whatever reason. Palantir, 100%. I mean, that's normal, though. Tesla, 92%. Wow. Again, cash. This is not a freaking... I got to clear this. Cash is cash. All right. So anyway, their average IV is 69%. The guesstimate based on that is 47 cents. If I go back here, I gave it an 80% multiplier, which would bring it down to 37 cents, which is a 55% yield. Okay. Their last payment was 26 cents. So are they going to really pay more? Who the heck knows? But let's hope. Now, these freaking dailies, again, I don't even know why I have these on here because it's kind of annoying. But let's just look at their last payment. SDTY paid 27 cents last week. QDTY, 26. RDTY, 33. I have a multiplier here. Actually, I should take it away because I don't think they're going to pay that much higher. Yeah, I'm going to take that away, 110%. All right, so we'll give them a 29-cent payment. We'll give QDTY a 32-cent payment, and then we'll give RDTY a 34% payment. Ulti, again, we track their holdings as well. So if we scroll up, we can see what they're holding lately, see how they're doing. Again, in this market, I'm sure, even though they're buying puts, well, I haven't checked, but I'm sure they're buying puts. Yeah, they got puts on everything, but it's apparently not even enough in this freaking market. But, they probably should be doing better than what they are. That's my guess. But what the hell? Hey, wow, they got Amazon. Okay. Space Mobile, Alibaba, Chewy, Coinbase, Carvana, Dollar General. I still love to have GameStop. What the hell is that? SMCY, TNA. Oh, that's why, because TNA's in there. They're gonna have to get these triple leverage funds out of there, man. It's getting, but even they're probably buying puts though, right? Yeah, because TNA's getting killed, and I would know. Believe me, I would know. Yeah, let me get this out of here. This is gonna bring down our average because that's cash, not the ticker cash. It's cash. All right, their average implied volatility is up to 103%. Their guesstimate payment based on that is 11 cents. So if we go back here, I gave them, I think, a multiplier of 85%. That would give a 9-cent distribution. Their last two distributions were 9 cents. So I'm going to give them 9 cents again. 9 cents would be an 88% guesstimate yield. All right, Chippy's the new fund. They just launched, so they're not going to pay. But let's just see what they're holding. ACM Research, Analog, Applied Math, Broadcom, Intel, Microchip, NVIDIA, Qualcomm, blah, 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 blah. Let's take out this freaking cash, and we could see at least what their average IV is. I guess my voice is not coming back. But let me take an intermission drink of water. There you go. 74%. So nothing crazy there. But still, it'll pay a decent distribution when all said and done. So yeah, Chippy, nothing. So that's pretty much it. So, we talked about obviously all the guesstimates, which I'll do a quick recap in a second. But I wanted to show you. Let's take a look at Misty. I know we have the spark line here. Let's just take a look like how it's done. It's done pretty well, right? You look at SMCY, obviously not as good. AIYY is horrible. SQY is not updating. DISO is horrible. AMZY is not that good. APLY is not terrible. But more importantly, you go to Misty, in their house money situation. I know this font is gigantic probably on the screen, but let me zoom out. I just want to show you, they're holding strong, man. Their 52-week low, is $17.90. That's pretty good. Through this type of market, the lowest they touched, $17.90, which I don't know when that was, but wow. But again, you also have to keep in mind they did go as high as 46, 47. But still, their current stock price is $20.63. It's not to say that Misty can't go to 10, because it certainly can. Misty can go to 5. Misty can reverse split even. But again, if you bought this thing from inception, you are a very happy person. So we'll see. Again, they already paid house money. They paid over 100%. Some of these others, regardless of what they pay, they're not going to reach 100%. The only close one here is AMZY. They're actually at 62%. So, and that fund has been doing absolutely amazing as well. Their current price looks to be at $14, which, again, it is what it is. It's down. The market's down in general, but just a rough time for everything except the inverses, of course, right? Now, I think we covered this in the previous video, but obviously Group C recently declared. We know Coney. Yeah, Coney paid out 138% house money. But check out Neptly, man, 70%. So they're getting closer and closer to 100% house money. AMDY is catching up. They're at 69%. And then PP right behind them, 58%. So let's see actually who's the next to hit 100. So Neptly's at 70. Phoebe's at 70. Tesla's at 79. So yeah, Tesla probably, I don't know. We'll see actually. It's between Tesla, Phoebe, and Neptly. Who do you guys think is going to hit 100% next? I don't know. You know, maybe Neptly. Neptly to me has always just been a freaking, well, Phoebe too. They're both freaking solid. I used to own both of them until I got rid of the individual underlying risk. But obviously now, in a market like this, owning the index doesn't necessarily make things any better, of course, as you see. All right. So anyway, let's see in this market as well. We always say, people ask, when should I buy the funds, or what fund should I buy? And the answer is, you decide. I don't know. Nobody can tell you what to buy. Okay. So that is the simple answer. That is the boring answer, and that is the right answer. But when it comes to, using data, using numbers, what I always look at is how close is the underlying stock away from their 52-week low, and then I decide, okay, is there a reason that they're there? Do we think they're going to recover? And I know in this market, who the hell knows, because everything's down anyway. But I just want to see who's really down, like who's the closest to their low. So what we do here is we have the underlying price, we have the 52-week low, we have the 52-week high, and then we have some formulas, right? So first off, this column would show you, all right, is the current price closer to the low or is it closer to the high? So in this example, it will show that it's closer to the low. And then this formula basically calculates what percentage it is away from the 52-week low. So obviously, if it's less than 50%, it's going to be closer to the low, and the closer to zero that it gets, then obviously to me, that's close. That's almost as low as you can go. So the lower the percentage, the cheaper the underlying is. So Tesla's near a low, 28%. OWARC, 16%. GUI, absolutely near the low. Now, if we look at the numbers, check it out. Their underlying price is at 147.74. Their 52-week low, 147.54. Does it get any closer? I mean, but maybe, every week could be a new low. That's the problem. You just don't know. Just because it's at the low doesn't mean it's done, right? There may be new lows. All right, Zomo, very close, 2.96% away. YBIT holding strong. They're actually closer to the high. SNOI, 26%, and TSMY, 20%. So not bad. And then in Group B, the one that sticks out always is Murni, 0.92% away from the low. Everything is, NVIDIA, Phoebe, JPMO, they're all near the low, but GDXY, Babo, and Pallady are near the high. So it's like a mixed bag in this group. Marrow's really close to their low. They're 7.28% away from their low. Now, if we go to Group C, Neptly's closer to the high. When I say Neptly, I'm talking about Netflix, by the way, because I'm looking at the underlying price. Sorry, I know I should probably state it differently. And I'll do that going forward. So Coin, 7% away from the low. Microsoft, 0.33%. Wow. Just like Google, freaking Microsoft is near their low. AMD is always near their low, so ain't falling for that. PayPal near their low. Wow. Airbnb. Yep. Wow. And then we have Group D. Disney. Oh my God, they're 1% away from their low. XYZ or Square, whatever the heck you call it, 4% away, and then AI 3% away. Wow. It's a bumpy road out there. So, and as I've been saying on Twitter, what dip is the good dip to buy before the dip, but after the dip, right before the last dip, and the right dip, right? So you buy the dip before the dip, and it dips and it dips and it keeps dipping. And what do? Anyway, it's I know. It's all good though, right? Because sooner or later, we will look back at this time and we'll be like, oh man, I wish I had bigger balls to put more money into the market, right? Just like when you look back at COVID time, right? COVID, big dip. But at that time, the government was giving people money to invest too, which kind of like, I don't know. Let's not go there. But anyway, let's just do a recap on the guesstimates. And again, so Group D will declare this Wednesday. Group D, led by APLY now. Again, they're at the top because of launch price, of course. 36 cents is what I have for them. That's a 36% yield. AMZY, 45 cents. That's a 40% yield. DISO, 30 cents, 32% yield. SMCY, 60 cents. No idea of the yield because Google Sheets is not behaving. AIYY, 25 cents, 74% yield. Misty, 182, 114% yield. And SMCY, $1.54, 109% yield. And then YQQQ, 62 cents, 43% yield. And then we have the weeklies. I have YMAX at 14 cents, 61% yield. YMAG, 8 cents, 29% yield. LFGY, 56 cents, 87% yield. GPTY is 38 cents, which is a 55% yield. SDTY, 29 cents, 36% yield. QDTY, 32 cents, 42% yield. RDTY, 34 cents, 42% yield. Ulti, 9 cents, 88% yield. Chippy, again, they're not going to pay probably till next week or the week after. Who the heck knows? But yeah, that's it, man. That's the update. Nothing else really I got to cover here. I did see a Misty competitor come out. I think it's IMST is the ticker symbol. Someone asked me, can you cover that and compare it to Misty? No, unfortunately I cannot. And if I do, it'll be squeezed into one of the daily videos. So now you guys, you have to keep track of, I'm going to add random things to the daily videos because like I said in previous videos this week, I'm only going to do one video a day because I just can't, I don't have the time to do any more because it is baseball season. I have kids. My one son, he's in 2 baseball leagues and I coach both of them. And, there's travel involved and there's this and that. And obviously I still work. So there's not really much time outside of just doing, the daily videos. It's still manageable. It's not easy, but I'm just not going to push. I can't do the stuff because my weekends are pretty much filled. I used to have a little freer Saturday, so I was able to do a few more videos and then squeeze in a couple more. But it's just a rough time. And then once we get to summer, hopefully I can add some more content. But like I said, though, when I do have the time to add additional content, it will be added to the end of the daily video. So do keep that in mind. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, guys, so that's the guesstimate for Group D. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Sorry I couldn't give Misty $2 or over $2, but I just doesn't make sense to me. So I think $1.82 is the sweet spot. And hopefully crypto, they wake up, they decide to go back over 100,000 at some point, and then Misty will, fly with it, hopefully. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Tough times. But crypto is doing better than the rest of the market, at least on Friday. So we'll see how this week goes. We'll see what happens with the tariffs. Is the worst over with? Some people say no. Some people say yes. But nobody knows anything. Let's be real here. Except maybe Nancy Pelosi, right? She knows everything. But anyway, guys, as always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. This video is for fun and entertainment. So hopefully you had fun. Hopefully you're entertained. If not, then I don't know what to tell you. This is actually, this video wasn't really that fun. This was like a kind of a boring, level-headed video. I did not do singing. I did not do screaming. I did not do anything obnoxious. So it was just a boring video. So yeah, wow. Plain Jane today. So I guess you weren't as entertained as you normally would. But if you were, please hit the like button. If you have any questions or concerns, leave them down in the comments below. Outside of that, man, I got nothing. I really don't. There's nothing else to really talk about. Obviously, the market's down. So, people are either blaming YieldMax, or they're saying buy more, or they're saying I'm just waiting, holding on for dear life, right? Because again, when everything's down, so there's nothing you could do. If you have cash on the side, you're freaking golden, man. You're happy. But if you're like in a position where you used all your cash and you're using a little margin already, then you're like, okay, when's the, you got to be careful out there. Anyway, guys, we're at the end of the video, so it's time for the keyword. So if you made it this far in the video and you want to prove it, you got to say the keyword. I don't even have a high pitch because my voice, for whatever reason, maybe from baseball yelling. Well, the thing is, we had baseball yesterday. It was freezing, and then it downpoured. So we had to stop after 2 innings. I'm like, come on, man. This is not April. Like, this is brutal. The first 2 baseball games we had, I was freezing both times. We have a game today. It's supposed to be cold today again. I'm like, I can't take this anymore. This weather, New Jersey weather sucks. And yeah, I need to move. I need to move. Where am I going to move? So that being said, actually, that's a good keyword. Let's do that. So if you made it this far in the video and you want to prove it, you got to say the keyword. So the keyword today is where. If I'm going to leave New Jersey, where is the best place to go to live? That is number 1, and most importantly, affordable, right? Number 2, decent weather. Number 3, obviously, well, number 3 is actually the most important, a safe place, for children. But in general, like, where is a good place to live? And it's got to be in the United States, guys. Let's be realistic. I know people are going to say the Philippines, which is seems to be very cheap to live. But yeah, you can't really bring young kids to another country. So let's be realistic. Give me another state. What's the best state in the U.S. to live? I'm not even going to say outside of New Jersey because I know most people won't pick it anyway. But yeah, so what's the best, most affordable, safe, and good weather state? And yeah, let me know that down in the comments. And that way I know you made it to the end of the video. All right, guys, I'm going to end it there, especially since I have no voice anyway. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this content. But either way, whether you did or whether you didn't, I just wanted to say thank you for watching. It is greatly appreciated. Hopefully this uploads on time. YouTube is giving me trouble on the phone, but I don't know. If it's a little late, that's why. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. I'll talk to you tomorrow.